In the 2020 United States presidential election, Democratic candidate and former Vice President Joe Biden ran on a campaign of healing the soul of this nation. However, so far, he's sticking to his word. According to the Wall Street Journal on January 20th, 2021, during President Biden's inaugural address, his main theme was promoting unity and fostering a working relationship between Democrats and Republicans. However, with tons of priorities to be passed, today we must ask ourselves the question: in order to achieve unity, what should Joe Biden's domestic priorities be in his first month of office? And the clear answer is he must pick legislation that not only Democrats, but also Republicans support. So today, we'll take a look at first, creating an electoral affairs agency. Then we'll take a look at creating a COVID-19 economic recovery plan. And lastly, a plan to rebuild American infrastructure in this country. First though, we have to take a look at one of the biggest reasons why we seem to be a lack of unity: the divisiveness of the past 4 years. And it mostly came to heat during the aftermath of the 2020 presidential election. Former President Donald Trump and dozens of Republicans spewed baseless claims that the election was rigged and stolen by the Democrats, saying that President Joe Biden is not the real winner of this election. The scary thing is that a big chunk of the population agreed with this message, somewhere between 25%. And after the raid on the Capitol on January 6, 2021, Joe Biden first must make a plan to promote unity in the country by giving the image of fair and free elections that work for both parties. According to the New York Times on December 29, 2020, in order to appease Democrats and progressives alike, Joe Biden must create a new electoral affairs agency that would first get rid of racial barriers and hard access to vote in this country, specifically to minority groups. Large African American counties, such as Fulton County in Georgia, have much less voting booths per capita than the rest of the country. And they are saying that these plans are in order to decrease the voter turnout of African American communities. By creating a new electoral affairs agency that would look into these problems, this would get Democrats on board to help expand our democracy to all citizens, no matter their race. And in order to appease Republicans, President Joe Biden can look into the integrity of the election itself. According to the Boston Globe on January 25th, 2021, while dozens of Republicans do not believe the election results, the best thing Joe Biden can actually do is have a bipartisan commission in this new agency that would look into these claims. And while they're not likely to find any new evidence, it'll help restore the sanctity of American elections. And it's not just for conservatives. It would go for all future elections. Just like how in 2018, Democrats were furious when they found out that Russia definitely played a role in promoting the election for Donald Trump in 2016. By creating a new electoral affairs agency, President Joe Biden can foster unity between the two parties to help expand our democracy and make sure we all vote in fair and free elections. Second though, we have to look at the biggest issue that will face not only Democrats, but Republicans in Joe Biden's first year of office, and that's economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 health pandemic is one of the worst health crises we've seen in the past century, but we must also focus on getting money back to the American people. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in December, the unemployment rate is still at 6.7% and rising, and they estimated that millions of families took out retirement loans and savings in order to help pay off their bills. And many families are still scared if they are going to find their family food or shelter. And multiple Democrats and Republicans need that the good people of this country need help financially in order to get through the remainder of this pandemic. According to The Economist on January 14th, 2021, President Biden has a plan, a $1.9 trillion economic recovery plan, and he says there are many more to come. This gives renters assurance and assistance. It gives direct stimulus checks to the people. It also promotes a new minimum wage. He says this will help the economic recovery plans. And it's not just a Democratic issue, with multiple Republican senators such as Pat Toomey and Senator Josh Hawley supporting this condition. In order to foster unity between the two parties, Joe Biden must work with Republicans and Democrats in order to get money back to the people who so desperately need it. And lastly, we must take a look at rebuilding American infrastructure and how we must do this despite our partisan politics. American infrastructure is not so good so far. According to the United States Chamber of Commerce on May 12th, a conservative think tank, they said that even they considered the American infrastructure system to be failing. And one of the biggest things they said that no matter who won the election could do is to rebuild American infrastructure in this country. And looking at this, Joe Biden could go back in history and see what to do. According to Reuters on January 11th, 2021, during the Great Depression, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt created the Works Progress Agency to help boost employment and rebuild this country's infrastructure. They argue that Joe Biden must do a similar role by creating new infrastructure and rebuilding it in order to increase employment and help preserve infrastructure in this country. Both parties agree infrastructure in this country is failing. In his first month of office, President Joe Biden must make it a priority to help fix this country's infrastructure for the present and for the future. When looking back at today's question, in order to achieve unity, what must Joe Biden's domestic priorities be in his first month of office? We talked about he must act fast in order to achieve a system where partisanship does not matter anymore and to promote unity in this country. We took a look at creating a new electoral affairs agency. Then, we took a look at creating a new economic recovery bill. And lastly, we focused on helping rebuild American infrastructure for the entire country. There is a lot of partisanship in our politics today. What is important is that Joe Biden sticks true to his word, unity. He could not create legislation just for Democrats. He must also get Republicans to go along with them in order to create a better country with Republicans and Democrats alongside it.